map that I can add onto the result of this to bring it up in specific spots where I want it. Any which way, I'm going to go back to the 85% for now and try a slightly different approach to getting more bump amp. And this is going to involve using the displacement. So I've got a copy of my little bump maps ready to go. I'm going to unhook the material temporarily there. I'm also going to unhook the normal and bump from the surface node. So here we see the mix in this instance. I've very simply grabbed a mixer node, put the whole into the background, the head into the foreground, and the head alpha is there just running the opacity from its luma channel. And we see our output here. You can also see this ridge around the lip on the bump here. That is where I'm getting my picked highlight from. I might take that down. But again, I suspect the gloss is also creeping over this, so I'm getting a high gloss at that position as well, so I might just trim that in. Again, not now, later. So all I have to do quite simply is take the colour, run it into the displacement input, bring up the object properties, and let's give him some bump displacement. We can see that big values are way too big. I am wanting a smallish value here, let's say 3 millimeters. What we notice though is that he's fattening out, he's bloating from his displacement. The reason why is because the displacement is an amount value. Remember, in the displacement video I said it was the amount coming in here multiplied by the distance. Therefore the blacks are 0. It's only getting displaced out. We want the black parts of the bump here to sink inwards, to displace in. So the way that we do that is simply to take a scalar subtract node, plug in the colour, subtract 0.5, that way 50% grey becomes nothing, black becomes -half, and white becomes +half. We plug that in and there we go. Now we can notice a couple of minor errors, like the eyelids there being displaced way too much. Same with the ears, they're getting a bit mangled. So here we are, the answer is another weight map. I've set it to 100% everywhere, except for the eyelids and the ear, which I have set to be 20%. Obviously, if you had other problem areas, you would pop those in as well. And actually, I'm also going to take the points that are inside these modelled in wrinkles, because what can happen, especially if you have an animated face and these are, moving and crunching about, is that they can wind up overly displacing and going through themselves as well. So just the inside of those wrinkle parts I set to be 20% also. So back in here we grab ourselves, of course, the weight map and also a multiply. Take that and multiply it by our displacement here and feed the result into displacement. Remembering, of course, to select the appropriate weight map there. So there we go. Looking much better. Now I want to turn up my subdivision here so I can actually see some of this stuff now. There we are, bring it up to 8, and that looks pretty good, I would say there. Obviously, see our displacement is very low on the body, because it's only 3 millimeters. I could go in with more weights and of course mix these differently. And if I were going to take the time to do this properly, that is exactly what I would do. Mask off with weights different areas for the face and body and whatnot, and use that to drive my displacement amount in a more involved setup than I have here. But for the purposes of our demonstration, this is, good enough, I feel. So grand, we'll call that our displace there, and we'll see how our material responds to that.